What's going on, guys? Welcome to For the Fans. We are here today to talk about Survivor 44, episode 6, the Mergatory episode, right? Unfortunately, we don't have Kylie with us today, but once again, we are joined by Robbie and Karen. What's going on, guys?
I was excited to finally get an episode and kind of get the taste of the previous episode into my mouth. So I don't know how you guys felt about the previous one. We don't need to go back into that, but yeah, I was happy to see that theme song start, even though it's only like 5 seconds of it at the start of the episode.
Let's go over it just a little bit because neither you nor Karen were able to be here. What were your thoughts about the episode where Matt went home? And Josh, we got to see so much of Josh, Carolyn, and Jam Jam's like conversations before them not having a vote in general.
That was the first time. Usually I'm on my phone and I'm like, oh, there's only like however many minutes left. So that was one of the first episodes where I wasn't doing that. So I didn't even realize that there wasn't going to be a tribal. However, I felt the edit was setting it up for a medevac and was hoping there was no tribal because I'm not a big fan of 3-person tribals pre-merge. Just because I feel like this was a great situation where we could have lost Carolyn or Jam Jam, and I feel like they're both people we all want on our screens.
Mm-hmm.
Like no matter how you feel about them, they're at least entertaining.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. No, huge personalities. I felt like if they were gonna do some random mid-season, 2-hour special, whatever, like this would have been great. I hate ending an episode without a tribal. It just doesn't feel like there's no closure there for me. I need to see Jeff snuff a torch and have somebody do the walk of shame. And I also feel like they did Matthew a little dirty there because production felt like they had to show Jeff saying, you did the challenges, you lifted the heavy blocks, and you were smacking the key, even though we suggested that you don't, we recommended that you don't, but you did it anyway to help your tribe. It's like really what they're doing there is saying, look, production, so everyone knows production told him not to do that stuff. He chose to do it, and now his condition is worsened. You even tried to hide your shoulder injury sometimes and didn't wear your sling and all that stuff. And it's like, I feel like you should almost be thanking the guy because he gave a lot of great content and didn't just loaf around and sit around wasting time. Like he tried. Now, I made fun of him when I saw him lifting the blocks, and I made fun of him in that same episode when he was hitting the key above head because I have had shoulder injuries myself, and that's the worst thing you can do is those ranges of motion just they don't make things better.
I think you're half right, right? I think you're right in terms that the producers made sure it was in there, but I think Jeff says all that stuff because he's Jeff Probst. Like I think those things were not meant. Well, I don't think those. Like I think the producers, like you said, kept it in there to make sure everyone knows we didn't tell you to do these things. Whereas Jeff is saying all the stuff not because as a producer he's saying it, but because as a mushy guy he's like, that's just so amazing that you did all these things. I'm so proud of you and the effort you put into it.
They were classy with how they told the other tribes that he was no longer in the game, though, because technically he quit, right?
Yeah. Well, and that's what's even crazier is that Jeff's like, this is not a quit. Matt went out there and did his best and gave his all.
But he wasn't medically pulled. Like he even said, I got a lot to think about here.
Yeah,
like Matt said that, right?
That was something that actually bothered me was Jeff's attitude towards it. Like by itself, that doesn't bother me, but based on how he has acted,
made him look like a hero. Made him look like a hero for quitting.
Yeah, but like it made me think about the season where that woman quit because she was just like ill, like throwing up and stuff, and like I just had like food poisoning last week. So I've just recently gone through something like that. And like, that's horrible being in my comfortable bed. Like, so I can't even imagine like just like throwing up over and over like that on an island. And then afterwards, like for Jeff to be like, well, you have to quit. Like you're technically fine to stay here. So, but I just felt like his attitude was so much different.
I'm happy they didn't medevac him though, because there's been a few medevacs where I'm like, I get it if this was going to be lifelong, the guy could die 10 years later because he had kidney damage or some random illness to your organs or whatever, your heart, condition. I get it. I get that stuff, right? If you have, an actual concussion and you think you might have some sort of brain injury, yeah, I get it. You should go. But if people are on the island and they're just in a lot of pain, I feel like they should give them the option. Like, can you tough it out if all it is a lot of excruciating pain? Because people can. And I mean, Matt did what, 9 days with the injury? So
do they give them medicine? Like, can they give them some ibuprofen or something?
I don't get the impression they were, but I only watch the show. I don't dive into a lot of the behind the scenes stuff. I try to keep it. I try to stay. I don't know what you want to call it. Unimpacted by the extracurriculars. Like the
you try to say spoiler free, if you will.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm sure they could. I'm sure they probably did give him some ibuprofen, but it was just. I mean, Robbie said he had a very similar injury in terms of a shoulder injury, and he seemed to be in excruciating pain. But I'm with you, Karen. I didn't love that Jeff made him sound like a conquering hero on his way out, that he fought through and he stuck around and all this good stuff. I was like, come on, Jeff. Like the dude is hurt himself because he's like, you hurt yourself. You hurt yourself in Survivor. And it's like, nah, man, he hurt himself climbing a rock for no reason, and then he fell.
Wasn't
that too? It wasn't like he got hurt during a challenge or something. It was just him being a little silly.
Yeah, and it was in Survivor. Yeah, it was in Survivor. Yeah, you were out here on the island, but like you didn't like bang it on like a challenge or nothing. Like you just did it being out here on the show.
It's like if he was racing on the sand to kill time, blows his knee out, and then sticks around for 9 days with a blown, ACL or whatever.
Torn ACL.
And
look at you.
And then eventually the pain is just, his knee's twisted and swollen and purple.
Your knee, and look at you, still going.
Still somehow competed in all of these challenges, kicking those whatever you would have to kick in a challenge. I don't even know. Swimming miles in the ocean, climbing all this stuff with only your legs somehow. And, now you got to be quit due to the whatchamacallit, the pain.
Yeah. That's kind of how Jeff was, but it's okay, man. Jeff. So we start. Let's get into this episode because we start in this episode with us on the beach with Josh, Carolyn, and Jam Jam, as if like we just picked up where we left off the night before, and they're discussing what's going to happen next. They get the tree mail, and they find out that they are all going to be on one camp. Josh is like pretty excited about this, and I mean the three of us as well as the audience know that this is not great for Josh. But in Josh's mind, he's like, finally, I get to reunite with my whole tribe. I get to get back in the good position I was in before. I'm going to return as the prodigal son. Poor Josh.
I feel bad because he had such a misread on his situation. And even I was a little unsure because we just didn't see that much about it. I was like, is he really that on the bottom? Or like, well, if it came down to would they change their mind thinking about the future if they keep losing, maybe they should keep him rather than like have two pairs. But based on tonight's episode, I feel like he was definitely on the bottom and he was definitely going to get voted out had he stayed. So he definitely had some sort of misread, and he seems to have some sort of issue fitting in, I guess, socially, but I haven't seen exactly what it is.
Why? Yeah.
Yeah, because he seems fine. I mean, the only reason I wasn't like a huge fan coming in is because I just feel like completely inferior around people like him.
You know what's funny is that I think that's part of it's like a negative mystique, right? Because you hear Franny talking about once they get to, and we're gonna get to it a little bit. Well, we probably wouldn't talk about this part, but Franny talks about wanting Josh gone because he's so good socially. She says those words, and then you're like, wait, but he doesn't fit in with you guys, and he doesn't fit in with Jam Jam and Carolyn. Where is he at socially? If That's what it is. And then Karen, you mentioned feeling inferior. We saw Sarah say, are you a surgeon? And he's like, what? No, I'm a personal trainer. But like, you picked up immediately that he's probably a doctor of some sort. He's a gay dude, black guy, but like accomplished. And you're like, this dude is like, he's like out here making lemonade out of limes. Like, this is
I think it comes down to him just being a really bad liar. And I think when you go on a show like this, and not only that, when you get caught, I don't know, like if somebody lied to me in a game like this and I caught them and they were like, you got me. I got caught up in it. You got me. You're right. I didn't know what to do. It's the first thing I said. I'm sorry. Here, yeah, you got me. Ha ha ha. Let's laugh it off and go on with life. Okay. Like he got caught with his profession, right? I think he got caught pretty easily with this profession mistake.
Actually, that could be bigger than we even realize, because if you think about it, like he's how old is he? I think he's like my age, like 33, 32.
Yeah.
Around there.
I can't remember how old he is.
Anyway, so, you graduate undergrad at what, 22? Then you have like 9 years of medical school, and then you're practicing. I mean, I know medical school isn't 9 years, but residency, all that stuff. So if you're saying that you're a personal trainer, you're deleting a huge part of your life that you can't talk about. That is like formative years. Like you can't talk about anything. So he was probably pretty shallow socially in that sense, because he didn't have a lot to talk about.
Well, even on top of that, Karen, he probably did that and also told too much at the same time, because Sarah picks up on the fact that he's a surgeon, because he said in that challenge that due to his profession, he should do it because he has steady hands. And that's how she picked up he was a surgeon. And then when she asked him about his life, he's like, no, personal trainer, and then had no gaps to fill in for all those other years. But so when they were asking him on his beach, I'm sure, like before he switched, he had nothing he could talk about, yet he talked too much about the things that they're like, oh, that sounds real interesting. Can you tell me more about it? Oh, no, I'm not doing that thing. No, I didn't have, because remember how he had like a disease that he like grew up with. I'm sure he might have, oh man, I spent a lot of time in hospitals. Oh, were you sick as a kid? No. My brother was sick, and we just
I got bit by a shark. Exactly. It's like, oh, so you spent a lot of time on islands in the water. No, it was at Marineland. It's like, but like you remember he was on the Soka tribe, all right?
Yeah.
And how often do you see that early in the game, two competing duos come together over the middle person? Usually they're fighting over the middle person.
Yeah.
Not fighting like to both work together, even though they're competing duos.
That's why I didn't buy that he was like on the bottom. I was like, there was nothing they showed us that was so bad that they had to get rid of him. I just
feel like he was so bad at lying. I think he would go to one duo and they were like, Jesus, this guy is a brutal liar. And then he goes to the other duo and they're like, yeah, he's a really bad liar. And then the two duos look at each other like, is he lying to you as bad as he's lying to us? Yeah. Like he's got to go. And then he goes to the other tribe. First thing he does, lie about his profession. Second thing he does, lie about a fake idol, get called out on it, and then stay committed to the lie. Then he finally mixes with the Ratu tribe and he lies two different ways. I have an idol, which he doesn't. And I've got a fake idol, which I guess he does, but now he can't tell people the same thing in two different places.
And when he's talking about his fake idol last time, he was doing a terrible job lying about the fake idol once he had it, because Jam Jam's like, isn't that just from Tree Mail Dog? No. What are you talking about?
Yeah, it fell apart in his hands. It fell apart. Like he was holding it. Jam Jam was holding it. And he says, oh, whoops. And he's like, oh, why are you tearing it apart? And he grabs out of his hands. He's like, I didn't. It just fell apart. It's like, yeah, because, apparently your lies are as loose as your knots here. Like, it's so bad.
You're right.
Is it even that bad to be a doctor or a surgeon even? I don't know that I would. I mean, you can still say that you're a doctor. You don't have to mention that you're a surgeon if you don't.
I think what it is, what they're concerned about is that people won't want you to win because you already have money. Or at least there's a perception that you already have money.
You could swing it. Okay, so like I have a lot of friends who are doctors, and that's not necessarily the case. Like medical school is very expensive. Like
no, understandable.
malpractice insurance is very expensive. Like you have a lot of expenses, and I mean, just the cost of living in general is expensive. Just because you're a doctor, especially a young one, you're probably not rich.
You know this, and I know this.
Bright though.
Your future is very bright.
And that's the perception. And that's the perception. We all have friends that are doctors. We know they're like their struggles currently as in our 30s. But like if you just think of initial perception, doctors are rich, lawyers are rich. Yeah, judges are rich.
I wouldn't even worry as much about the money. For me, it's the fact that if it's the same thing with engineers and lawyers and stuff. It's not about the money. It's the fact that you've proven to be able to solve complex problems. Yeah, they're different problems, but you've proven to be, formidable when it comes to intellect. And not always. I mean, people degrade over time. I'm sure, right? Yeah. But if the guy says he's a doctor, or or if someone says she's an engineer or something, like, it shows that you have some sort of, problem solving abilities. And depending how strong those are, that can be a huge threat. You know what I mean? So that's what I would hear if someone said I'm a doctor. I'd be like,
so that's another thing, right? So that's another reason why it would be. So the hard part for Josh is that he couldn't commit to the lie, because even if you decide to come in to say you're a doctor, you can play that off, right? You can play a doctor and be like, listen, I do a lot of volunteer work with shelters and clinics, and then no one's going to think about the money, but you have the intellect thing. But if you're likable and you're not having to try to like skate lies all the time, you're fine. But I'm sure, just like Robbie was saying, it was like talking to Franny and Matt, he seemed off sketchy. Talking to Danny and Heidi, he seemed sketchy. So it was like this dude's sketchy to you? Yeah, he's sketchy to me too. All right, cool. I know we should be going after each other and have this dude as our third, but we'd rather just get rid of this guy. You guys down? Yeah, we're down. And then he goes over there to Jam Jam and Carolyn, and they're like, Jam Jam's laughing in his face about how sketchy he is.
I guess if you think about it, okay, also, like, what in Josh's life can he even talk about? Because he cannot talk about his struggles. Like, when he was younger, like, he spent lots of, like, all of his health struggles. He cannot mention that until Final Tribal.
You're right.
Like, none of it.
What kind of pastime do you have if you're going to school to be a doctor? I doubt you have a lot of free time to go.
Can't talk about that.
Like,
can't talk about your whole
playing
life
hockey or something.
School.
Like, I don't know.
Can't talk about medical school. It's these are all the pitfalls that Josh ran into, but he didn't see any of them ahead of time. He thought that he was going to come in back to this merge situation and be fine, which I thought was funny. So we get that. Another thing that I thought was funny was that we switch over to Ratu, and Carson is like, he reads the note and is like, this is not a merge. This is we're all coming together. My idol only was good until we all came together. And the way he said that, and the way that everyone was like, okay, makes sense. No one was surprised he had an idol. Tells me he talked about this before, that he had an idol to begin with, which I love, because by talking about it having an expiry date, talk about it openly. Might as well use it as leverage. Make it clear, like we talked about before. Make it clear that I'm not going home, so it doesn't matter. So let's talk,
especially on that tribe.
Yeah. We're not going to lose.
That was, and
if we do lose, it's not going to be me. So the likelihood. So talk about it openly. And then I love that he said that. And then we get a Lauren sighting, and Lauren goes, "I have an extra vote," and they're just like, "Okay, let's add that to the tally."
I think that was a huge mistake, though.
And enough people knew, though. I think at that point
that she had an extra vote.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't keep track of who knew. But again, it just felt, I hate when people just give information away.
That was the thing, is like, it never had to be public information. Yeah. But the way that she played it earlier on, she told, I think, Brandon and
Matt and the other.
Yeah, enough people knew.
Maddie.
Yeah, so Matthew and Maddie are gone.
There's no, I agree with her in that sense. Like, there's no point in lying about it.
Brandon knows then.
It would just make certain people like
wary. If you were trying to build trust going into a merge, then I see the value in that. if you know that they're not going to throw you out as an easy target. An extra vote isn't as crazy as an idol. You know what I mean?
Correct.
It's powerful,
correct.
but it's
And
not.
what have we seen one ever played to where it made a difference?
Yeah.
Like, so like I
Well-
personally as a player wouldn't be that worried about an extra vote.
I agree on both those sides, and I think also in addition, you got the note that says everybody's about to come together. There's 5 of you here. You might as well try to pull the 5 of you together if you can. And like Robbie said, she's not looking like the first person that will be out because you got Kane there. So let's just go ahead and tell everyone. Brandon already knows. Let's try to get some good graces of Carson. Let's pull Kane in for now, so that way if we have to say a name, we can say Kane. Let's do this so we can pull it together. And so I loved the fact that she shared that. I also love the fact that it seemed like Carson did not share the fact that Matt told him that Jamie had an idol.
I'm really impressed with Carson so far, but he is also he's just too young. I know he's going to make a mistake.
He's shining too bright already, though. Like, if you remember how impressed you are of this person, before merge, there's not a lot of people that are impressive before merge that stay all the way till the end. Like, he's being impressive in front of everybody. He's crushing these puzzles, just crushing them.
Yeah.
And it's like, even the technique, I don't want to skip ahead too far here, but I mean, we'll get to it. There's some things that he could do and still get the advantages of his knowledge without being like, look at me.
Well, Carson is just he's playing this game very well, because going to when they all came together on the beach, they all get there, they all have their pleasantries, they immediately get in the game, which I do love. They immediately start talking game because they're unlike other mergatories. They're given a day or a whole night to like strategize and get to know each other before going into the mergatory competition. During that time, we see Carolyn talking as she's like connecting or lack thereof with people. She says that she trusts Jam 94%, 94%, but she trusts Carson 100%. And we see that Carson is in a fulcrum position where he has Carolyn and Jam over here. He has the situation he's been developing with Lauren, Brandon, and Kane. He is in the middle and can align the two so that way they work to his favor, especially with Josh being on the outs with his original tribe and the two of them. Carson understands where he's at in the game, which is so important and also so rare.
I'm really excited, and I do hope it works out for him, because if it does, then he's playing like, I didn't think that he was capable of playing this type of social game, but I think he might be. But I'm just so worried because he's just so young, and young people are dumb.
But you can only be one. Like, you can't be social and a crazy physical threat. And you can't be a crazy physical threat and an intellectual threat. And you can't be like, you have to pick one. You can be the best, you can be the most like intelligent in the challenges, but then you can't be the best social person. I feel like if everybody sees how everyone likes you and you're wicked smart in the puzzles, like I just feel like too much is adding up against him. I wish he was just focusing on social and in the confessionals being like, I could have crushed that puzzle way faster, but I did it really slow on purpose, just Robbie, to show that, like, not to shine too bright.
So here's my thing, is that I think that you're right, but I think that there's a part that you're wrong on, and it's exactly what Karen's talking about. Since he's so young, he's going to be discounted anyway. So
that's fair.
He can be smart, he could be social, he could be two of them. He can't be all three, but he could be two of them, and they're going to be like, but he's so young. Look at him. Look at the Wonder Kid. Like,
it's almost like a -1, right? So you're saying it's back to 1 again. It's back to 1.
It really works in his favor, because I mean, even you're totally right.
I'll run with that. I'll run with that.
But he's so young.
And the reason I really say that is because of the way everyone talks about liking him, and they talk about it as if he's not a threat, but he's like an adorable friend that they're all friends with, and like no one's threatened by him, which is, they should be. Like everything you're saying, Robbie, he's a great
Sarah saw him, right? If you remember back in like the first or second episode or whatever, Sarah said, like, look, everyone is talking to this guy.
But it's because Sarah's also young, and so she doesn't discount the youth.
Yeah,
and so
fair.
she saw exactly what you're talking about. And I love that because she saw exactly what you're saying. And she was like, this dude's a problem. And Helen's like, I know, we'll worry about it later. Both of them got, and then Carolyn and Jam Jam are like, look how adorable Carson is.
Yep.
I'm excited for Carson. I really hope that he can continue doing well, I guess. I like to be proven wrong. I like when young people do well, but I don't know that we've ever actually seen it, to be honest.
When we all do get to the merge, though, it was crazy how quickly information started flying. We see Brandon going up to Josh and telling him, hey, man, so I hear you got the cage idol. I heard you played an idol and saved yourself. And he's like, yep. And then they're like, I heard you got the cage idol too. And he's like, yep, I have the cage idol also. And Brandon's like, all right, cool. Good to know. And I don't know if I would, on first meeting someone, I would just ask them that straight up.
I was a little surprised by how free-flowing information was. But I guess that's the era we're living in.
Is there a lot of alcohol involved in this episode? I don't know.
No,
I know at the merge feast. There was a couple drinks getting passed around. I don't know if any of that's having an impact, but you're right. There was a lot of just honesty, and you're just like, I think Carolyn was the only one that had sober goggles on, watching everybody, just like, the hell is this?
Did she, Robbie? Did she have sober
I think
goggles?
So, man.
Or did she not?
I'm a huge Carolyn fan now. I'm all in on Carolyn, man. Like, this is ridiculous.
Okay. I don't think Carolyn can win this game.
And you're just like everybody else on the show right now, but her.
And that's why. But that's why. Like, I'm sitting at home on my couch and I'm watching Carolyn play one of the best chaotic games I've seen almost ever. Right? Because I came in saying she's more Nora than Suri, and I still believe that. But I saw her as just a chaotic piece, but has a real strong rap on the game. But I don't think anyone respects her.
Not yet. I think she can pull it out at Final Tribal, though.
I don't know.
She dropped a one-liner, though, in a confessional in this episode where she said something along the line, like in quick succession. Was it this episode or the previous one? I can't remember. Where she said something like, I found an idol. I planted a fake idol. I made a blindside. I orchestrated a blindside against, somebody I wanted to get out. And she just the way she was just rambling, all valuable things. She's remembering all the things that she's doing.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's from a life of just
she plays
having people, well, that too, but I mean, having people doubt you and having to be like, having faith in yourself and reiterating.
I think it's from orcs.
You know what I mean? Like that, it could very well be that.
The reason I say that is because when anytime Kara makes it to finals in orgs, you have Robbie. When you get in the final, a lot of people like to go through their whole game. And there's not a ton of notes you're taking when you're playing an org. You just remember the things that you did. And I think that for Carolyn, it allows her for the quick recall of all the things that she did do from her org career of playing games, of just knowing like, I did this, I did that. But unfortunately, and this is where I get back to it, I don't know if anyone's going to care because I don't know who she sits next to. And obviously we have a long way to go. I don't know who she sits next to where she can like convince this group that she still deserves to win.
But just think, our last season, Gabler was able to convince the whole group that he was the one to win.
Yes and no, because like they said with Gabler, because I was thinking about Gabler when I thought about this originally about Carolyn when I was watching. Gabler was able to talk to the person that he picked to go home and how he made that happen, where the rest of them didn't really make anything happen in terms of Owen and Cassidy. Whereas in this situation, Carolyn hasn't had the ability to make anything happen, nor has anyone given her the respect to make anything happen.
But she's already done 3 things that she can ramble off, and we're just getting to merge. Most seasons that you talk about, you only talk about post-merge stuff. Like a lot of pre-merge boots are almost irrelevant, but she's already building a resume. And no one's even said the word resume yet on the show. You know what I mean? Like she's already got that. Maybe that's the org experience where she's like, okay, let me put some of these in my back pocket and save them. So when I get there, at least I've got these locked in. And then I can be a little bit more floaty if I have to.
Let's go with the fake idol, right?
Sure. Yep.
Who knows that she has a fake idol? She made a fake idol.
No one knows she has the idol.
No one knows she has the idol.
Yeah.
No one knows she made. No one knows she made the fake idol either, though.
Yeah.
Even when she talks about it, no one knows that Sarah found it.
Yeah.
The thing with final tribals is like the element of surprise is so powerful. And everybody thinks Carolyn is just crazy or whatever, and that she's not actually playing. So if she can sit there and say, I did this, this, and this, I had the idol, I didn't tell anyone, nobody even knew. All
the
this
idol's
stuff.
gonna be a big one. The idol's gonna be a big point for her.
Proof?
I think the fake idol though is a small point that's not gonna work because no one knows that Sarah found it. And she
I disagree. I disagree, and the reason for that is a big part of it is showing that you have some form of control in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And there's two things, like I controlled portions of the game, or I knew all of the information, so I knew when and when not to do things. Having the idol as long as she had, and knowing she didn't have to use it, shows power, right? Shows that not only did I have it, I found it, you guys couldn't, but I knew where the votes were going. I had faith in what my gameplay was. I knew I was safe and I didn't have to play it. And I didn't share that information with anybody else. And I got all the way to merge holding this idol. Plus, there was somebody who I wanted to feel very comfortable so we could blindside her. So what did I do? I hid this idol, made sure she found it, and she felt comfortable, and she went home.
But that's what I'm talking about.
You can spin it when you have experience talking, right?
But that's what I'm talking about to the two of you guys, is that unless Sarah told Jam Jam, which we did not see her do, no one can fact check that part of Carolyn's story, is what I'm getting at. Her having the idol and not telling anyone, that's a huge one. That's a huge piece. The fake idol that Sarah found, only we saw Carolyn see Sarah get it, but no one else. And if Sarah told no one, Sarah went out the game with it. You cannot name that because there's no one to verify that actually happened.
When Jamie Lynn gets burned, right? When people start getting burned with them, I guess being able to claim it. Plus, everybody who opened the cage will be able to verify that, we got an extra thing. And one whole tribe got to see it in person, right? That was the Ratu tribe. Got to see Brandon open it and see that there was a fake idol in it and know that she played it successfully without being caught. I think some people will give that some value, but you're right. It's totally different than if Sarah played it and still.
If Sarah played it or if Sarah was still there, those. So I don't know how. I know she's going to speak to it. I don't know how much that's going to work for her in her favor. But you're right. There's going to be other fake idols that have been played, so maybe they'll give some credence to it. But her not even playing it at the tribal doesn't help Carolyn.
Well,
Carolyn's case.
We got to move on, but I want to say one last thing here from my point of view. The fact that we can debate the things that Carolyn has done and how valuable the things Carolyn has done are compared to like Heidi.
I was gonna say Heidi
or Kane, right? What are the specific things that Kane has done that he thinks he's got credit for that we don't think? There's a lot of people who aren't even playing that game yet.
No, we haven't
right?
seen,
and I think that just the fact that she's trying to make the moves is, shocking a lot of people who are watching right now, I think.
Speaking of Heidi, we see Heidi and Franny come to the beach and they immediately start talking about what's going on. They talk about can't believe Josh is still here. Homeboy's supposed to be gone. Can't believe he's still here. And it wasn't like I'm so glad he's here. Can't believe he's still here. It was like, what is this dude still doing?
That's the only way they think he has a social game, right? That's the only way. Because they see this guy go over, he's outnumbered, he should be gone, and he's still there. How?
Yeah.
He had an idol. They know he has an idol, right? Or he played an idol.
Well,
they find that out.
They find that out.
Initially, when they all get to the beach, they're like, Heidi and Franny are like, what's he doing here still, man? We thought they were going to take care of him because we were going to take care of him. And you see that. You see Josh talking to Jam Jam and them trying to like bury the hatchet, but not really bury the hatchet. But Josh then sits and wax poetically about how he survived. He tells the tale of how he survived tribal while also still needling Jam Jam about it.
Yeah.
Which I thought was
in front of everybody again.
Yeah. Which puts Jam Jam on edge. But it also, what Jam Jam doesn't know is that Josh is already not liked. So him telling the story does not really do Josh any favor.
Was it Kane that met Jam Jam by the water and was like, it was Matt.
It was Matt.
Yeah, Matt was like, listen, man, don't worry about it. Like that didn't hurt you. It just hurt him more. Like it's all good.
I thought that was hilarious because Jam Jam doesn't have anyone he's aligned with here, right? Carolyn, like he said, and I love a Jam Jam confessional. The Jam Jam confessionals are fantastic. He sits there and he says, like, I hate Josh. And I don't know if Carolyn's with me. And I haven't seen Carson in like 7 days. So I don't know what's going on here.
Did you get the impression that he was a bit tunnel focused though, like tunnel vision on Josh, and wasn't like, it's hard because we're stuck to the edit, right? We're stuck to the edit, but you see a lot of the other tribes mixing a lot, right? Like I think I saw a conversation with Heidi and Lauren that looked really, really strong in this episode as well. But I felt like Jam Jam, everything that he was saying was, I got to talk about Josh, got to talk about Josh, got to talk about Josh. But what about you in the future? What about you with the people you're working with? You know what I mean? Other than just the you and Josh show, I felt he was a little bit, I mean, maybe I would be the same paranoid and that's all I could think of if I thought I was going home, but I don't know. I didn't get a lot of future vision from him or alliance building.
I got a lot of personal vendetta between Josh and Jam Jam. And I think, taking it back to what you were saying a little bit while ago, Robbie, I think no tribal is no closure for either. So it continues. I just thought that makes a lot of sense. He is one track minded because neither one of them got closure with getting the other one out.
And that hurts Carolyn. That hurts Carolyn because one of them would have trusted Carolyn. And now neither of them are like, I don't know if I can trust Carolyn.
Correct. Correct. And so that tribe, that's wild. That tribe not going to tribal makes this so much worse for the three of them. Because they can't get out of their own way. Yeah. Because they're so focused on each other.
How often do you go to merge with numbers, like not with numbers, but with some people from your tribe and have no one to trust? Like no one trusts you. Like who trusted Jam Jam? Maybe Carson. Maybe.
Wait, right? And that's
who trusted Carolyn? Maybe Carson. But he's been gone for so long. How do you know?
Wait, Robbie, you have no one to trust in your own tribe. And since there was no tribal, you're also not a free agent because you're still locked in to whatever was going on in that old tribe.
Yep. Yesterday.
Yeah.
Like we all wait a week to hear this, right? That was last night. Or maybe
last night.
Maybe a night and a half ago.
No, whatever. It was last night because they're still on the beach like the next morning.
Like that's just we forget about that, right? Like they woke up, they ate, a handful of rice or whatever, half a rotten fish they found on the beach, and now they're like, all right, so are we past what just happened? Right? The viewers are gonna wonder why we're still talking about.
Are we cool? Are the three of us cool?
Right? Some guy in Canada is gonna be like, why am I tunnel focused on you? Right? Tunnel vision, right? Why can't I get over you? Let's team up. 8 hours ago we hated each other, but I got your back.
And even the let's team up is like a let's team up until we get to the beach and you're talking shit about me. Like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Like, what is going on?
I like that Jam Jam realized that throwing out a name that early was a mistake.
Yeah, we get to that. So before we get to
we're jumping way ahead. We haven't even done the challenge yet, have we?
Yeah,
technically, we kind of skipped a little bit.
Yeah, well, because we're talking about them as a whole, because this whole episode was about them all coming together. So we're talking about them coming together, and all of that was pre the challenge, which I actually liked. I liked that they had a chance to talk to each other and try to get a lay of the land to see where things were pre-challenge instead of just jumping into the challenge and then just picking a person based on whatever happened in the challenge.
I wonder how long they had.
Well, they had to have the rest of that day. And I know that night it said day 12 at nighttime. I know it said day 12 at nighttime. And so I assume the next challenge was day 13.
But even if you had a couple hours, honestly, there's a difference between showing up to the beach, drop your buffs, and now we're mixing up, and now we're doing a challenge.
Yes.
Versus everyone getting a boat, you're all going to talk for a couple hours. Be like, I've got good vibes from you for the last 10 days in these challenges. Like, are we good? Yeah, we're good. All right. That's valuable.
Correct. Well, we definitely get a night because we see Matt and Franny holding their hands in the middle of the night when they're with everyone. And I'm pretty sure that was pre-challenge because Matt jokes and says, if I win a reward challenge, I'm not taking you. She giggles.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
They flirt, and then they hold hands, and they ask like, "Are you telling anyone that we're close?" And he's like, "No." "Are you?" And she's like, "No. I'm not gonna tell anyone that we're close." But then they're like holding hands, and like these people that haven't seen y'all are looking dead at y'all. Like,
I was gonna say they're so visible. Like you're right there, just sitting there giggling, like away from everybody together.
Right.
Oh my god, it was so obvious.
And so for Soka, they were used to y'all's love situation, and no one cared. But here, you now got Ratu here. You got Jam looking for a way to escape in general, and Carolyn looking for a way to escape in general. Why, Franny and Matt, are y'all making yourselves so obvious?
Yeah, when you have desperate people around who are looking for reasons or looking for cracks, looking for opportunities to just stay alive one more tribal, you can't be holding hands and sleeping. Like they should be sleeping on opposite sides.
Oh, for sure.
Like it's just.
Well, them sleeping next to each other makes sense because you sleep just like the cavemen. You sleep next to someone you trust.
Then sleep next to somebody else that you trust. I don't know, man.
That's one of my favorite things that Boston Rob ever said, though, is if you want to know who's actually with who, watch where people sleep.
Yes, it's the truth. It's the truth because you sleep next to someone that you trust, just like the cavemen did. And so them trusting each other is fine. Don't hold hands, Matt. Why are you grabbing her hand, man? She knows that you care about her. You can't hold hands today.
Young blood.
Unless he knows he's not winning the show and he's like, I gotta go all in with Franny right now. Like this is like no. Well, we gotta get on Amazing Race as a duo here. I gotta get a second chance.
I gotta figure this out. So
let's just show the world like you want to see more of us, right? That's I think I'm getting a little bit of those vibes where he's like, screw it.
Yeah.
And so is she.
Well, Freddie wants to still win, and she's like, "But I'm falling for this dude."
Well,
and
Franny showed up in the challenge. Franny showed up in the challenge too. Like it was impressive, yeah.
And so going to the challenge, we get them split into two groups, right? We got Franny and Matt, because it's done randomly, right? So we have Franny, Matt, Brandon, Carson, Jamie, and Carolyn on one tribe. Can y'all believe I just did that from memory?
I'm really impressed. I could have done it, but it would have taken me a while.
and then the rest on the other.
And then everyone else is on the other tribe. Now Lauren Kane, Josh, Jam, Danny, who we don't really see this episode at all, but Danny's over there, and Heidi. So we have the two groups, and they gotta like dig out this ball and push it over a thing. It's a giant boulder from like Indiana Jones, and like push it over a thing, and they gotta roll it, and then they gotta like run up a warped wall from Ninja Warrior, and then they gotta jump on the netting, pull themselves up, and then do the infamous tree puzzle, right?
I didn't like this challenge. I have two things. All right, number one, what did you guys think of the breakdown? Because as soon as I saw it, I was like, well, this group is obviously winning, which is not what happened.
I thought it was pretty even.
No.
I thought like there's no way the group was like Matt and Franny and
Carson. Danny's a comp to Brandon. Danny's a comp to Brandon, right? Heidi is a comp. Heidi's a comp to Jamie, if not better. Lauren's a comp to Carolyn, if not better. I have Carson over Jam, and then I got Matt over Kane.
I mean, if we're pushing a boulder, I got Jam over Carson.
Right, but there's
I got Jam over Carson for about 5 meters.
I forgot about the puzzle part when I made this judgment.
Okay.
Yeah. No, but when I looked at it though, I thought like one tribe looked way more physically able than the other tribe, not tribe, as Jeff calls it. These groups are teams. Teams. At the beginning of the season, we're divided into 3 teams. No, sorry, 3 tribes. But now we're just divided into teams. And the next episode will be divided into groups. And then the next episode will be divided into factions. And then let's find synonyms for tribes.
All the words for groups.
Yes. Yeah.
And you guys both thought it was stacked. So, Robbie, you thought it was stacked in favor of Brandon's group or Jam's group?
I thought Carson. Yeah, I thought Carson was going to lose.
I did too. I forget, like, as soon as they got to the puzzle, though, I was like, you know what? I think even I've seen that puzzle before and, like, tried it online. So,
right when he walked up to it, it was obvious that he had 3D printed it.
yeah,
Like,
and I was like, surely that's one of the ones that he 3D printed because it's like I'm pretty sure I've done an online version of that one, but
yeah.
The moment we get to the puzzle, they're pretty neck and neck. Purple, the team of Jam Jam, they had a little bit of a head start, maybe a 4 puzzle piece lead in terms of picking up the puzzle pieces. But we have Lauren and Heidi, I think, working on the puzzle over there, and then we have Matt and Carson. But really, it's just Carson because Matt is holding up a piece and doing the same thing Lauren and Heidi are doing, which is spinning it around and trying to see where it fits.
Yeah.
Whereas Carson goes and grabs a piece, turns it the right way, puts it in the right spot. Grabs another piece, turns it the right way, puts it in the spot. Grabs another piece, moves it around, puts it in the spot. And just like you said, Robbie, the moment he started going, you're like, oh, he's definitely done this at the house.
So here's how you would solve a puzzle like that as someone who doesn't know that puzzle yet. You pick up the piece and just holding it, you look at the tree and you go, where would this go? And you kind of try to envision it and you put it, right? Carson would pick up the piece from the table and he would lift it up high and he would turn and put it on the top. Like he already had the piece up, knowing it was a top piece before he turned his body to look at the tree. He lifted it up high, turned, put it on. Grabbed the next one, like you said, Kevin, turned it down low, turned, put it on. Like he knew where they were going before he even turned. I'm like, man, like hide it a little bit.
That wasn't even the giveaway for me. It was the pieces that go on the 2 pieces.
Yeah.
It was the one he would put the first piece onto the tree base, second piece onto the tree base, then go grab third piece that hangs off the 2 pieces, grabs that one and goes right to it and puts it on. Like that was the giveaway for me, not the lifting it to know that this is the top piece. Because if you know that this piece hangs off those other 2 pieces, you didn't even look at the base. You just knew that this one hung off the other 2 you just did.
So obviously he'd done the puzzle before. So how should he play this? Should he say like, yes, maybe I 3D printed, or maybe I bought it on Etsy and I had that one puzzle, but it's not like I 3D printed I think he should say he bought it on Etsy and he just happened to have that one puzzle and that's why he was good at it.
I disagree. I think you just own it and you said that puzzle, they had it in season such and such and I practiced it after I saw it.
But
because,
then
like we just talked about, they already consider him a nerd, and they're gonna think, "Wow, what a wonder kid." They've already disqualified. Like when Matt did it, Matt looks like a huge threat, right, of having built that in his backyard. But Carson looks like a nerd.
You can do both. He can win that challenge without absolutely embarrassing the other team.
Robbie, you're right.
And then he doesn't have to answer the question about 3D printing or buying it. He doesn't. He could.
I mean, it's going to be a question though. Like, we get back to camp, I'm asking.
Yeah, but because of the way he did it, because of the way he picked it up, put it on, picked it up, put it on, picked it up. He could have easily picked it up, looked at it for a second, did it goes
even
here.
Better. Even better. No, you pick it up and you go
crush that team.
You go and you put it in the wrong spot on accident. You don't put it there, but you try to fit it there.
Yeah, because unless you're assuming someone on the other team is 3D printed also knows, and that you're in the race against 3D printers to see who can put it up the fastest, which if that's what he was thinking of, perfect play. Do it as fast as you can. But if you're thinking you're against just a normal smart person, then you're going to beat them anyway because you already know the answer. Feign it for 2 seconds, put it on.
Put it in the wrong spot.
Or ask Matt to pass you pieces and be like, oh, what do you think, Matt? Yeah, oh, here it goes. Yeah. Feign excitement. He wasn't even excited. He was like, yeah, I know.
He just went to work. Work right here.
You're not even looking. Just like,
in the chat, though.
Fear over here while he's fixing a puzzle over here. Like he's just bored with it.
In the chat, Bob wants to know, should they get rid of puzzles because players are starting to outsmart them?
No.
I don't think so either.
I think if you put in the work to 3D print the puzzle and do it 1,000 times, then you can win that challenge. However, I do not think that every challenge should have a puzzle that you can 3D print and do it 1,000 times.
That you've done before. Right.
Yeah. Like maybe 1 or 2 a season.
I think that they should change the puzzles a little bit.
Sure.
I can't see why not. Cut some of those pieces in half. And it's the same puzzle, but now he's got to do an extra couple moves. That's fine.
Yeah.
But I mean, it'd be like getting swimming out, because some people are like, man, if I'm going to go on Survivor, I got to be a good swimmer.
Right.
They practice swimming,
Robbie.
Then they get on there and they crush swimming, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, can't do that. Can't do swimming this year. Like,
Danny's a firefighter, right? We have.
It's a good question though, Bob, because a lot of people are complaining about that type of thing, right?
And that's why I hate it.
Yeah.
And like, it was a good question by Bob, but I'm with you, Robbie. Like, and Karen, like, there's guys that train. They're like Jonathan's out here pulling people a couple seasons ago, literally pulling people through the water because he's physically built that way, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's worked his life to be a fitness person. Yeah. So, but all of a sudden we still have the physical things that he could dominate by himself. We're not getting rid of the physical stuff just because Carson prepared. He knew he was going on Survivor. Yeah. He prepared.
They all knew. They all knew. I mean, like I said, like you can buy the puzzles on Etsy, so it's not like just because Carson's smart and can 3D print them himself that he had an advantage. Like you can buy it yourself if you know if you're going on Survivor.
Correct.
Yeah, I'll go one further on that, Bob. I've always had a problem with that. I don't know what the answer is, but I've always had a problem with how through casting, they can find out what the IQ is, of each of their contestants, right, or the castaways. They can find out who is actually the smartest person and by how much, based on a series of tests that they can run. You don't go into this show and all of a sudden they say, well, because you're far more intelligent, we're going to give you more puzzle pieces to balance it out for the rest of the people, right? They don't balance the intelligence of folks in challenges, but they balance out the physicality sometimes. And I'm torn on that because I look at it like, listen, if some guy like John is going to go on the show, he's going to be a huge threat because of his physicality, or Jonathan, right? And then all of a sudden he gets to a challenge. They're like, well, because of your physicality, we're going to make you hold 20% of your body weight, or like we're basically going to make you hold more weight or more of this to balance it out. I'm torn because there's the gender argument, but then there's also the threat level argument, right?
So here's the thing. On all of those where they make you hold your body weight, they make everyone hold their body weight. So it's not like,
but it's not the same amount of weight. This is what I'm saying. It's a cop out. It's a cop out.
It is comparable to who you are as the individual. Same thing when they like adjust the thing for you to hang, they adjust it based on your height, right? So like it's meant they're intentionally doing a certain thing. It's not to balance out because of the physicality.
But that's exactly what it is.
Oh, I disagree.
They're saying, listen, if you're a bigger, stronger person, you need to hold more weight this challenge. And if you're a smaller, weaker person, you can hold less weight this challenge.
Well, see, but Jam is gonna have more weight, and he's not necessarily that much stronger.
But they don't do that. They don't do that for the intelligent portion of it, right? So like, how can you do that? And not it just doesn't make sense how you can be a threat physically, but then they balance you out in the challenge, but you're still a threat physically.
I think because the challenges still at the end of the day favor physicality. So if there is a part that does favor intelligence, if you were to balance it out, then you're favoring it even more towards the physical people. But can you imagine if they had a puzzle and be like, oh, well, you scored lower on this test, so you get fewer puzzle pieces.
That's why I feel they shouldn't do it with the physical challenges as often as they do.
I think the challenges should be less physical personally, because I mean, as we've seen in the new era and the way the challenges are, like it just doesn't favor women. So like even if compared to the general population, I'm more fit, I would say. But if you put me against athletes or Olympians, like, I mean, I'm going to be left in the dust and like die. But at the same time, I don't know that like my body type and just how I am as a person is really that good at the physical type of challenges in Survivor. So I don't know. I kind of prefer.
But then you wouldn't carry the physical threat target post merge. Do you know what I mean?
But I'd have could you be a liability pre-merge?
It's true. And that's part of the game, right?
It is.
Yeah.
That's, I don't know. That's why I think it still relies a little too much on phicality.
I think you and I agree 100% on the pre-merge. I'm speaking strictly to the individual challenges post-merge.
Okay.
That's it. I've spoken multiple times on these podcasts this season about the pre-merge challenges should be far more balanced So that way you're not saying, okay, who's the smallest, weakest person? They got to go, because every one of our tribal challenges are going to be 90% physical. And if we can dominate that portion, we have more time on the puzzle. You know what I mean?
I think the one thing I think is wild is that they have you that when they do that body weight stuff.
Yeah,
they do it based on your preseason body weight.
Yeah,
not like your today body weight. So if you like shedded 20 pounds in 20 days because you haven't eaten anything for 20 days, you are still going to be carrying that extra 3 pounds, 4 pounds, whatever it was that you would have had if you're in the other.
It's always been broken though. Like you look at someone like Denise, right? Like what percentage body fat does she have, or like muscle, whatever the strength to weight ratio on a Denise is off the charts compared to someone like a Jam, right? Jam carrying 20% of his body weight, he'll be done in 10 seconds. Whereas Denise could do that with one hand, right? Like there's got to be a better metric for that than just 20%.
Totally agree. That's one thing I do like, is that a lot of the challenges post-merge actually, I think, favor women's bodies. Like pre-merge, I might be in trouble, but if I make it to merge, maybe I could actually win a couple.
So I guess that makes sense then, Karen, because here I am pushing for my perspective post-merge, right? Whereas for the majority of the season, you be pushing for your perspective pre-merge. Right. And I think we're kind of finding a middle ground here where I'm agreeing with you pre-merge 100%. And I'm just trying to argue for balancing that out post-merge. So it's kind of funny how we got there a long way around. But
maybe they just haven't found the sweet spot of balancing it so it's fair at all stages for all types of people and all types of challenges. Because I don't think it's fun for really anybody for one person to win like every challenge post-merge. It's
crazy.
Some people love it, but it's not
crazy due to Carson's intellect. That group ends up winning, and we have Carson, Matt, Jamie, Franny, Carolyn, and Brandon all going to a merge feast. They're the winners. None of them are going home. They've made the merge. Congrats to the 6 of them. No hourglass this time. No swap up. No changing of anything. No separate island. They're all going.
Boo.
So when I first saw that it was only an hour-long episode for this like merge episode, I was very suspicious. Like what are they doing? But because they took out all of the BS in the I don't know, the mergatory part, it is what Survivor is now. That is what is happening before the merge. That's you divide it into 2 teams. That's how it is. We don't need to talk about it for too long. Like that's just the new era.
Jeff spoke about it on his podcast yesterday, and he said that him and Matt sat down and they realized we've just been giving them the merge. They need to earn the merge.
Oh my God.
They earn it by getting there, in my opinion.
They are, they are getting
there. I've been conditioned now. I've been conditioned to expect something with this challenge. I'm not saying I want the hourglass, okay? So whoever hates the hourglass, that's fine. Okay, that's fine. But nobody sat out. There was no dynamic of, oh, what if? I wanted to change the tweak. I didn't mind there being some sort of tweak there, but I was almost felt conditioned. So when the challenge ended and they all just went back on their merry way, I was almost expecting hold up, guys, there's one more thing. Like it didn't have to be a crazy big thing.
I liked it too.
But there was no clue at the feast. There was no clue at the feast.
Okay.
That we know of.
I want to speak to this real fast.
Give me
and I'm
something.
not going to get into it too deeply. But on Jeff's podcast, he said that there was a clue at the feast with Jonathan and Marianne and all them.
Yeah.
And they threw it out. They just threw it out.
I think I heard about that.
And so if there was a clue at that feast, there's a possible that there was a clue at this one. And they just ignored it and missed it. And
maybe. Do you know what I would like to see? I would like to see this episode happen where one person has to sit out. And then this is going to be cheesy and everyone's going to hate it, but I want it. I want one person to have to sit out that challenge. And then when the challenge is over, they have to pick someone on the winning tribe and take their spot. And it's like, okay, who on that? Because listen, or I would rather if they did it this way, okay? 2 people draw captains. Those 2 captains draw teams. They leave one person out. Schoolyard pick, You leave one person out of your schoolyard pick. That person says they get their vengeance at the end. They say, listen, you didn't want to pick me on your team. This is how the narrative goes. I'm safe now, but one of the winning team members won't be, and I get to pick who. So if you burned me yesterday, you burned me 2 days ago, guess what? Now you're on the block.
Here's a twist. I want them to pick a person. That person is still safe from the vote, but they don't go to the feast. So you're choosing someone not getting food.
Yeah, okay.
And the reason is because
they earned it.
They earned it.
All right.
But they don't get the food.
I'll give you that.
They don't get the food, and the person that set out is also safe. They're safe now, but they're who are you choosing that's not going to eat? Because that means so much more than just making them unsafe because they're probably not going to
throw the letters from home in there, and I'll agree with you. Throw the letters from home in there, and I'll agree because it's got to be heavy. It's got to be heavy. Like
and let them know that they're going to get food and letters from home.
Yeah, tell them.
And at the end, whoever wasn't chosen, you choose a person that won't get to eat and get a letter from their family. They're still safe.
Yep,
because they did earn it, but they won't get to eat. Oh, that is juicy.
Because and you can't not choose. Like you can't.
You have to choose.
You have to choose.
Like you have to pick something.
And the reason that's so good is because by them still
because it's my idea. That's why it's so good.
No, it was a great idea by you, but also they're still safe. So that means you have to live with them for another 3 days while you think about how the fact that they didn't eat, and none of you, and you can't plot your revenge on them today because they're safe. You're safe. That doesn't matter. But
and you damn well who would have not got picked. It would be Carolyn, and then it would have been like Carolyn. Who's Carolyn gonna choose to sit out? And it's gonna be like, who the hell's ignored me this whole time? Talked about making alliances in front of me without me in them. Yeah. So whoever that is.
Great. It would have been great.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry. That's all that's where my mind went right away. Give me something.
Well, as the 6 of them are eating, back at the camp, Jam Jam's feeling frisky. He's feeling in trouble. He suggests them voting out Josh because they're like, who are you thinking? He says Josh. And then Danny goes, well, I'm going to wait for the other 6 to get back. And then whatever they want to do is what I'm going to do. And then you cut to Lauren. And Lauren's like, y'all got any names? No. Josh is like, I got Jam Jam's name. This vendetta doesn't die. The 3 of them are the two of them are still coming for each other. And Jam Jam, having no one else, immediately feels in trouble.
Yeah.
Is it the right move for them to immediately throw it out each other's names? Because if no one else is saying anything, what do you think?
So I feel like if no one is saying any names, you don't want to be the first one to say a name. But at the same time, if you don't, it could be you, especially if you're in the position that Jam Jam's in. Jam Jam specifically, the position he's in, he has no one. He doesn't know if Carolyn's back with him because they haven't voted again. Josh is running around saying how good he has it, and he has an idol he claims. He's claiming to everyone. I don't know if I'm good with Carson. I'm trying to create something here with Danny and who else was there? Danny and Kane. Kane. Yeah. Danny and Kane. I'm trying to create something here with Danny and Kane because I'm trying to find a footing. So I'll be the first one to name somebody. Yeah. And then they go, oh, we're gonna wait. Oh.
Yeah, listen, I think you're bang on for probably 80% or 90% of the people there. Mm-hmm. But you've got 2 powerful tribes that are coming in, and they're looking at this trio coming in, and those are potential swing folks. And for me, if I wasn't on the top half of people at Merge, I'm throwing a name out. Because who is Jam Jam going to go back to camp and run to talk to? He doesn't have a tribe to run back to, whereas everybody else there basically has someone to go back. Well, not Carolyn, but I mean, at least she has Carson though, right? Yeah. So it's like, who are they going to go back and talk to? Well, the rest of them have people.
Correct.
So why would they throw names? They have people. Jam Jam doesn't have people. He's got to shoot a shot, because if he just sits there quietly and then they go back and they throw Jam Jam's name out, that's it. That's the end of the episode. Correct. That's it. There's no and now when Jam Jam would come out and throw another name, well, now he's just defensive. Right now, now it's because it's his name. Listen, guys, stick with the plan. He's just going crazy because it's him. Stick with Jam Jam. It's over. I think if you're at the bottom like Jam Jam, it's the right move.
And you see exactly this, because at the merge feast they talk about Josh having an idol, and Brandon says he told me he had an idol, and Carolyn's like, guys, I saw it. It's not real. And everybody's like, yeah, but he could have an idol, so maybe he has an idol. Like, we heard you, Carolyn, but sure, he could still have an idol. We get back to the beach, and the plan is to vote Josh, with the backup being Kane. And Carson tells Kane, just like you said, Robbie, they all have someone that they can talk to. Kane goes and confers.
They have people. Yes.
Kane confers with Carson, and he's like, what's up? And Carson not wanting Kane to go, because like we talked about how good of a spot Carson's in. Carson goes, your name is out there, man. It's your name or it's Josh.
Yeah.
And he's like, why can't it be Jam Jam? He's like, it could be Jam Jam. We can do that. And
Let's go to work.
Right. Kane goes to Brandon and says, is this true? And Brandon's like, yeah. I mean, your name was out there, but it's not like something we were like really considering, but it is out there, which gets Kane getting to work to try to make it Jam Jam as the backup as opposed to him.
But how did you feel about Kane saying, Carson just told me my name is like,
no, stop that, Robbie. It goes back to what we just said. He says Carson, Brandon goes to Carson. Carson's like, yeah, that was a dumb move. And Brandon rubs his forehead and says, it's all right, man.
Shucks.
Yeah. He's just a young little kid. He doesn't know any better.
Right?
I'm very excited for Carson.
And Carson goes, shucks, that was a terrible move by me. And Brandon's like, it's all right, man. We all make mistakes. Let's keep
scrubbing
going.
His hair.
Like, yes.
Yeah. You want to go for ice cream after this?
Yes.
That's really funny, because if Carson was 30 and did that, like, they'd be like, all right, no.
Carson's a liability. We need to work. Can't tell Carson nothing. Can't trust him. Carson's 19. It's all right.
If it comes out that Carson was intentionally voting out people by age, voting out the youngest first and going up, and just voting out all of the youngest people he could find, like if it comes out that he was doing that on purpose, just because he knows the older people are, the more they'll doubt me, then
that's so true.
Oh, man, that would be next level.
Do you guys feel like you guys are at least my age or older?
Yeah, I'm 35. I'm 35. Robbie's 36.
Yeah.
Yep.
Do you guys feel the same way about young people?
See, if I don't understand them, then I would vote them out. I'd be like, you scare me. I can't control you. This game is about me controlling things.
It's even crazier, because as a person in my 30s, and we're not that old. The three of us are not that old at all comparatively. But in my 30s, when I'm talking to someone that's like 20, I feel like a mentor at this point.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. When there's a student that comes to work for us or whatever for 4 or 5 months in the summer or whatever, 100%. You're giving them life advice. They're not even asking. They're not even asking. It's like, where are you living? Oh yeah. So what are you doing for this? You should look into this type of insurance. Yeah.
But Carson, I would fall prey to Carson, because I'll be like, I'll be just like Brandon. It's all right, man.
They're coming for your job. They're coming for your job, and you don't even know it. Like, that's the thing.
I feel like I would feel like I could manipulate him or whatever, when it was like in this case, I think it would be the opposite.
He's schooling you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what's so crazy, because like you said, he tells him, and Kane has no problem throwing Carson under the bus a little bit, because he's frantic, and he tells Brandon, and the fact that Carson literally goes, oh shucks, I shouldn't have done that, and Brandon's like, it's all right, kid, and it makes it irrelevant that he did this. It makes it irrelevant that he did it, and it's just crazy, because then they're like, well, looks like we got to change it from Kane now, because Kane knows, so we're gonna go do somebody else. We'll do Jam Jam.
Why does it matter that Kane knows? Like,
correct, it doesn't. But
I think some people like Kane. I think let me rephrase. I don't think they dislike Kane.
Correct.
I think they dislike Josh. I think some people are getting tired of Jam Jam, but they dislike Josh. And with Kane, they're like, he's probably a good dude, but he's just not with us. So he'd be the safest of the backup plans.
Correct.
And then when they find out that he knows, and they're like, "Oh man, I really didn't want to do him dirty." Let's just go back. Let's just go back to
Correct.
Jam and Josh and
nail on the head, because I think that's exactly what happened. Kane is not disliked, but there's 6 of them, and we're not voting Lauren, we're not voting Heidi, and we're not voting who's the other lady there? We're not voting Lauren, we're not voting Heidi.
Franny.
We're not voting Danny. We're not voting Danny. Danny's
on
under the table.
Those never even came up.
Never came up. Never an option, because they're in such a good place. So we're not voting those guys. They're already disqualified from our thinking. So that only leaves Josh, Jam, and Kane. Josh may have an idol, so we need a backup. Let's make Kane the backup. But Kane, we don't want to do him like that. Like Robbie said, this is Jam. He ain't got nobody. We don't care. If everybody's cool with it, except for Carolyn.
Yeah,
we're cool with it.
Who does Jam have? Oh, Carolyn. Who's that? Who's Carolyn? Carolyn is the personification of what the female experience has been on Survivor, where all of these big buff dudes are just broing out, and she's right there, like, hello. Is nobody seeing me here? Like,
I love those edits.
Just being gaslit and being browbeat, just like, listen, you're not a threat. They're gonna vote me out because you're not a threat. She's like, I've got an idol, a fake idol. I'm gonna backdoor you in 2 days. Like nothing. I'm on this trip with you guys. We could be making a just lie to me. Just humor me. Pretend I'm in your alliance. It's like, no, you're not even here.
What you're saying, right? We go to tribal. Some more Jeff speak. There's nothing real juicy from tribal in terms of what people are talking about. We get to the vote. Everyone votes, because at this point they have all come back around. We vote. Josh goes home with a vote of 7-3-1 or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is why I want to jump to this. Carolyn is the one on Kane, right?
No, I didn't realize that.
Carolyn's the one vote on Kane, because Carolyn at the feast is saying that. So Carolyn I want to make sure I get this correctly. Carolyn at the feast says Josh has an idol. No one seems to pay her any mind that Josh has an idol or not. Yeah. So whatever. They, as a collective, minus Carolyn and Jam, have decided that Jam is now the backup vote, and no longer Kane is the backup vote. No one tells Carolyn, because if you look in the tribal council, if you need to go back and watch it, Jam gets a 3rd vote, and he cuts a look at Carolyn, and Carolyn's look is like a what's going on with her face. And she's not clued in that it's Kane, right? She's not clued in it's Kane. It's not Kane. They don't tell her because they don't care about what she thinks. They took the information from her about Josh, decided to still risk it, and if he doesn't go home, Jam will, and it doesn't matter. That, to me, was the wildest thing that just happened.
I think it's interesting how people are treating Carolyn, and it just keeps happening over and over. Like, I think any woman has been in a position where you're trying to say something and the men in the room are just not listening. And then, the whole like, oh, I have this idea. What about this? And then someone else, nobody listens. And then, 3 minutes later, oh, what about this? And it's like, I literally just said that, but okay. I find this happening less as the older I get. And I guess maybe I'm more aware, maybe everybody's more aware of this type of stuff. So I haven't had any like recent experiences like this, but just like to watch it happening to Carolyn is, and it's not necessarily, I don't think it's just because she's a woman. I think it's because she's a little odd.
Definitely, to me, it's definitely not because she's a woman, because I feel like they listen to Lauren. I feel like they listen to Heidi.
Yeah. I think it's because she's odd.
I think Jamie gets treated the same way as Carolyn.
I think it's a combination.
Possibly, yeah, definitely. But yeah, at the sanctuary thing or whatever.
Merch piece, yeah.
I couldn't believe that, like with the Brandon and Danny, like that was just so.
Yeah.
You
like,
know,
she was saying it out loud, like hello.
That's what I was about to
like,
say. You know, it's bad when she isn't like. I would get it if it was a voiceover from her giving a confessional afterwards, and it was a voiceover while they were talking, and she's just sitting there.
Like, hello?
But no, it
I'm
wasn't
right
a voiceover. She was in it, like right there, saying like, "Well, am I part of this? Well, thanks for including. Well, good luck, you guys." Like she said that, like, "Well, good luck, you guys," and.
But it's just like a
just
carryover
kept
into
going,
this episode that we don't see it as much. But if they didn't even think to like update her on the plan, that's just how they're treating her in general.
Yeah, because she's not in on the plan. And on top of that, because I thought about because I personally have Brandon and Danny in my draft, right? And I like Brandon. I like Brandon and I like Danny as like players. They're a little machismo, but I like them as players strategically, especially for Danny. I was very concerned initially about Danny being available to go home until they started talking. And I was like, oh, Carolyn can let them know everything they said at the sanctuary, and no one would care nor believe her.
I've also been in positions like where, okay, like how she was just like, look, this is why the idol's fake. He doesn't have an idol. I've also been in positions where I've been like saying like, in games where I'm like, look, this is the truth. This is what's going on, and nobody cares.
Karen, forget that part. Forget the part about no one caring. Matt had tried to do the mental gymnastics of maybe it's a fake idol that he showed you, but he had the real idol and then showed you the paper of the old fake idol.
And if you remember in the beginning, Matt was the one telling people like he might have a real idol. It's probably not fake. This is early episodes. Everyone says, "Oh, it could be fake. He doesn't have it." What if he does? Let's plan for it. And yet here he's like, "No, that can't be real."
Yeah.
That just. Who's the source? Carolyn.
Exactly.
It's like,
I mean, maybe Carolyn should go to Franny, and Carolyn should get Franny to say it,
and then Matt will believe it.
And then all of a sudden Matt will believe it, right? And that'll get Danny brought in. But it's like brutal.
But
I mean, like I understand.
I feel bad for Carolyn, but
I do too, and I understand the like hesitation with her because even still I'm not sure about her, but I also don't like how people are treating her.
Yeah.
Like it's over the top disrespectful in my opinion.
First point, you have to give credit to Survivor, to CBS for showing this.
Yeah.
Because that could easily be buried. And that might have happened a dozen times already on Survivor, but it's just not fun for the edit, right? So why put that on there?
Well, okay.
Carolyn is not sitting here as the victim. She is sitting here as someone who's they're trying to victimize her, and she's basically saying like, "Screw you guys! You have no idea who I am. I am coming for blood."
Carolyn's
like this
doing things. She's continuing to play around them, doing these things to her. She's continuing to play. So that's why they're showing it, because they're like, this woman is still out here doing the damn thing. And like having right reads and seeing the things that they should be.
Yeah.
And I love it. But that's why when I said earlier, I don't think Carolyn can win this game. And it's because they're not giving her the respect that she needs. Because even with this read, when she's like, I told you guys Josh didn't have an idol, they're gonna be like, well, we made Josh feel safe. Like that's like it's gonna be like whisked away. It's gonna be hand waved. Like she's right. She told him.
If she can have one person see it before they go to jury, that will change everything.
Yes.
Right.
We have a long way to go.
If one person can see it and then they're in jury telling people like, listen, guys, when that happened, who was involved? I wasn't even there. Correct. Tell me. And I bet you Carolyn was right there and you were just ignoring her, weren't you? Yeah. And in your conversation over here, was Carolyn right there? I bet you she was, wasn't she? Yeah, she was. Did she happen to have an idol over here? I bet you she did. Yeah, she did. Like
she's gonna need an advocate.
All she needs is that one champion on the jury, right? And can she get that one champion?
What she cannot have. This is what she cannot have. She cannot have Jam Jam go home next episode and it's not yet jury.
Fair.
Because if Jam Jam goes, then she has no one that has witnessed everything. And so she is going to have to try to tell the story herself. and hope that they believe her. And hope, because it's going to get another one of those situations with one of my favorite winners, but it's unfortunate for her, Michelle Fitzgerald and Aubrey, where after the fact they were like, we didn't realize Aubrey was doing all that. We probably should have voted for Aubrey. Like that's unfortunate.
But that's part of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So alas, Josh goes home. Carolyn votes wrong. Jam Jam was the backup vote. Jam Jam thanks everybody for keeping him, which is a great move, in my opinion, because you have nobody else, so you're trying to like ingratiate yourself. And then everybody goes back, and Josh is voted out. Who do you guys think could win this game now? Robbie, you go first. Who could win?
Picking one person?
One person. Who's winning this game?
Damn. I kind of want to say screw you guys and say Carolyn.
Okay.
So that's what I'm going to say.
Who wins this game?
I'm going to go with Carson, but it's so early, and if you shine this early, there's lots of potential to flame out.
I am going to say Lauren.
I'm hoping. I just forget she exists.
I wanted to say yours, and then I was going to jump in with, but Lauren is sneaky right now.
I don't know. Like
Lauren's not getting an edit at all. They're not. She hasn't had a confessional in the last 2 episodes.
She seemed like this with Heidi.
Yes.
Already.
And she's close to Brandon, and we know that. Lauren seems like she could probably get in with a Franny. But she wants to break up Franny and Matt, which we saw the next episode.
This could be
so I think Lauren is a possibility to win this game, but I'm not sure. But that's where my money is at the moment.
I drafted her.
I think if Jeff likes this season so much, which he seems to, then it is either Carolyn or a man.
That's an interesting take.
I mean, Jeff is
not a man. Not a man. It's either Carolyn, Danny, or Brandon.
Or Jam Jam.
Or Jam Jam.
Oh my God! If Jam
what
Jam
a dark horse, right?
This.
What a dark horse if Jam Jam were to win.
I mean, I'm here for it.
Yeah.
I don't know. The way he treated Carolyn, I feel like he's eliminated for me.
He's treating Carolyn like the way everybody's treating Carolyn, man. And I think that
and nobody should win but Carolyn then.
But like I think I mean we're watching 42 minutes, right? But Carolyn has to be doing something for everyone to feel that
I refuse to victim blame, man. No way.
I believe Carolyn is a one-on-one type of person. Like you can get deep with her or whatever one-on-one. And I loved the edit, the way they like had it, so you could kind of experience how overwhelming it is. Because I feel that way sometimes. So I really loved the way they edited that.
That's me at parties, which is why I have rooms like this.
That's why I drink alcohol. Like it just like kills all the noise, like the Grinch.
Oh man.
Like a party, yeah.
So I think that's it for tonight. Thank you guys for joining us. Robbie, you have anything you want to plug, or Karen?
No.
I got nothing. I'll be here Thursday. That's all I can say.
We'll be back here next Thursday. Join us if you're watching Big Brother Canada. Join me tomorrow for an interesting week that we've had in the Big Brother Canada house. I think I'll be with Kylie. I'm not sure if Sheldon will be joining us. I know it is Passover, so happy Passover to all those people that celebrate. So join us tomorrow, and if you're here for just Survivor, myself, Robbie, Karen, and probably Kylie will be back next week to go through the episode once again. We'll see what happens. Jeff teased that they won't have any control over who goes home or something. So we'll see what that really means. Yeah. I'm not really sure if it's like a random draw. I don't think anyone likes that.
Another medevac.
So join us next week. Thank you for joining us tonight. Have a good night. Bye.